If you saw my last video, it's pretty evident that I need a haircut. That's how I'm gonna intro this video, and it doesn't make any sense. It's not relative at all. It's just what I wanna do. But yeah, as we enter, the NHL entry draft is upon us, the 2025 round. This is Vegas's 9th entry draft. And so I wanted to make a video to recap the past 8 entry drafts and see who the best 10 draft selections in Vegas Golden Knight history are. And the problem with this is a lot of the most recent ones haven't begun their NHL career yet, right? Trevor Connolly is the only first round pick selection we have left at this point. And that was from last year, and he was a later first round draft pick. And so he hasn't done anything in the NHL yet. And for the most part, a lot of our players haven't, and some of them have already retired from the NHL, semi-retired. They are no longer in the NHL. Eric Brännström, he moved on to the Swedish League. Anyway, my whole point behind this was I wanted to go through and see who the best 10 draft picks in Vegas Golden Knight history are as we enter this next draft. We have 6 picks currently, and the first one that we have is in the second round, so don't get used to any of these names, is what I'm saying. It would be very easy for me to just select, okay, most games played, and then sort, and then the top 10 from that. But I think there's a little more nuance to a lot of these players than that, and so it's gonna be a fun list anyway. I did the research, we're here. Let's go for it. Starting with number 10, Jake Leschyshyn. He was a 3rd round draft pick in the 2017 draft, which is the one that has the most NHL players from it so far. We have, okay, I didn't do enough research. Hold on one second. Second round draft pick, 62nd overall, which was the last pick in the second round, because back then there were only 31 teams. So we would have gotten the Penguins. That was the Penguins' second round draft. I don't know. Cool. That we selected Jake Leschyshyn, and he's the 10th best draft pick, entry draft pick in Vegas Golden Knight history. Again, not a lot of history here, and that's no diss on him. He was lost to waivers, so New York claimed him, which, cool. He hasn't done anything really in the NHL since, but yeah, he's the 10th best Vegas Golden Knight draft pick in their franchise's history, 8 years. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 players have played NHL games. That's it.
1 hour later.
We've made 54 selections. 15 divided by 54, that's a batting average of 27%, 28 if you're rounding up and feeling spicy. But no, that's not, I don't know how good that is actually. But 15, and of those 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are from that first 2017 NHL entry draft. That is insane. Also insane the number of times I say NHL entry draft in this video. Who knows what the counter is at this point? I'm not going to keep track. But 8 of those, and a handful of them have only played a handful of games in the NHL. We have one player that has played 2, that's Lucas Cormier, and he's still in the Vegas system, so we'll see if he does anything more. Zach Dean, who's with the Blues, he traded for Barbashev, he's played 9, so he has room to go up. And then there's Yuri Patera, who is with the Abbotsford Canucks, who won the Calder Cup. Congrats to them, you know, that's cool. I lived pretty close to Abbotsford actually when I was in BC, so that's cool. And then Ben Jones, 28. Brendan Brisson, 24. There's still room for these guys to come up, but not with Vegas for the most part. Number 9, a 3rd round pick from the 2017 entry draft, which was 3 picks after Jake Leschyshyn at 10, which if you can still spell Leschyshyn after years of him not being on the team, like I can because I store useless information in my brain sometimes, hey, good for you. 3 picks later, number 9, Jonas Rönnbjerg, who is still with the Vegas organization. He was announced to Team Denmark for the Olympic roster for next year. So congrats to he's an Olympian. He's one of the 2 Vegas Golden Knight Olympians, which that's crazy to me. So far, he's one of the 6 named, which good for them. 76 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points total. He will maybe get into a couple of games here or there next season. We'll see based on like injuries and stuff. But I remember he and Leschyshyn, I think, made their debuts together or scored a goal, their first NHL goal in the same game together, if I'm remembering that correctly, which was insane. But yeah, no, Jake Leschyshyn, Jonas Rönnbjerg, 10 and 9 for the best Vegas Golden Knight entry draft selections. Number 8, second round pick from the 2019 NHL entry draft, still with the Vegas organization and possibly looking at getting a permanent role in our top 6, Caden Korczak. He has played 77 games. Wow. Him, Lecision, both played 77 and Rombjerg with 76. That's really on the nose right there. But Korczak has double the amount of points as the other two. He has more than both of them combined. He has 1 goal, but 20 assists, 21 points total in those 77 games. He's on an upward trajectory and can usurp players above him if he's able to find his footing in the NHL and find a good spot in our bottom D pair, or maybe moving up. Who knows? Injuries are a thing. And he's a right shot D, offensively minded. So we'll see what he's able to do in this coming up season if he's a part of the team still. But yeah, Caden Korczak. Number 7, sticking with defensemen, but going back to the 2017 NHL entry draft. I am saying that so many times and it's getting on my nerves. First round selection, 15th overall, Erik Brannstrom, who we used as a trade piece to get Mark Stone, him in a second, and Oscar Lindberg. Then we got Tobias Lindberg in return. So, you know, Lindberg for Lindberg, but he was the main piece in that deal that got us Mark Stone. Incredible trade looking back on it. We had high hopes for Brannstrom, and so did Ottawa, and it never panned out. He is the one that I mentioned that he's back in Sweden, playing in the Swedish league. He bounced around the league this past year. He played for the Canucks for a little bit and just went through waivers quite a bit. If he's able to return to the NHL and make a positive impact, I'm gonna be happy for him. Let's some of the stats. 294 games played, which is no shirk at all. That's a considerable amount of games played. 10 goals, 67 assists, 77 points, 162 penalty minutes. Wow. Good for Brannstrom. Staying in the first round, but hopping back to the 2019 NHL entry draft. Oh my goodness, I can't stop saying it. Pick 17th overall, Peyton Krebs, who was used as the trade piece chip along with Alex Tuck and a couple of draft picks for Jack Eichel that we sent to Buffalo. Still with Buffalo, and he is put up actually pretty solid numbers, and I didn't realize that until I looked at this statistic, but he's played 296 games. So just a couple more than Brannstrom. He has 30 goals, 64 points, assists, 94 points. Hasn't quite panned out to the player that we thought he was going to be, because he was, again, projected to be a top 10 at least pick in that draft, but then had an ankle Achilles injury that had him drop to 17th for us. Solid player. He did well for me in my franchise modes, and hopefully, I mean, not really, because I don't care for Buffalo. But, you know, I root for the players, you know? Peyton Krebs, hope he does well. And was able to carve out a solid middle 6 role with the Sabres. This might be controversial, but I put someone at 5 that has technically on paper performed not as well as him, but I put number 5, Paul Cotter, a 4th round selection in the 2018 NHL entry draft. Okay. And he is the only one from the 2018 entry draft to have played any NHL games from Vegas's draft selections, at least. And he is, I really like this kid. He's with the New Jersey Devils now. He put up 16 goals last year, which is more than Peyton Krebs's season high in his career, which is why I went with that. Paul Cotter's assists severely lacking, less than half of what Krebs has been able to do, but he already has more goals despite playing in 80 less games. And there's this one specific memory of him and Logan Thompson, which Vegas legends, where Logan Thompson asked him to come out in the shootout, and Bruce Cassidy listened. He scored against Columbus to end the shootout after, you know, Logan Thompson, who notably had 0 goal support in the previous season, and then that season in the shootout, with him stopping 17 shots and 0 goals to help him out. But, you know, eventually the other team scored. Anyway, the point is, I feel like Paul Cotter has a little bit more of a upward trajectory. But we'll see where this all ends up. It is not because Krebs is on Buffalo. It is simply looking at the player and their moments and the amount of time that they've been able to have in the NHL so far, which is why I went with Cotter at 5. At number 4, this is the favoritism that I'm unable to block out of my head, but I went with Cody Glass, the first ever draft pick of the Vegas Golden Knights, 6th overall in that 2017 entry draft, which, you know, many could consider a bust, but I like the kid. He is a former Portland Winterhawk, and I have just like, there's a connection that I have with this player that I am rooting for him everywhere he goes. He's carved out a solid bottom 6 option at center with Nashville, and then got traded to the Devils where he was with Paul Cotter, so cool. But now I don't know, where is he at? No current contract. He was with the Devils to end the season, but he's an RFA. We'll see what happens with Cody Glass, but the main reason that I have him above these other players, because he has very similar stats to Krebs. 252 games, 35 goals, 58 assists, 93 points. So he has technically 1 less point than Peyton Krebs and has less games played. I just, maybe I should have him lower. I'm gonna keep him here at 4. And if Krebs and Cotter have better careers than him eventually, then who knows? But I'm Cody Glass, number 4, best Vegas entry draft pick. And then number 3, and here's where it's based on his trajectory. And honestly, I don't know who knows? Maybe he was a 1-year wonder. Hopefully not. Pavel Dorofeev, 3rd round pick from that 2019 draft, which the first 3 picks that we made in the 2019 draft have all been on this list. They've all been solid hits: Peyton Krebs, Caden Gorzak, and Pavel Dorofeev. But he popped off, was Vegas's leading goal scorer last season, and really hasn't had much playing time before then, you know? He's only got this 149 games, but he has 55 goals, 30 assists, 85 points total. So he has less points than a lot of the few of the people below him, but he's the 3rd best because you see where the potential is going up for him. And who knows, maybe it's because he's playing with dynamic playmakers, but Pavel Dorofeev seems to, even in Henderson, you could tell like this kid has that scoring touch. And so we'll see what he's able to do this next season. He's still an RFA after this, but we've got him locked up at 1.835, which is a steal for our top goal scorer, which maybe pair him with Marner or see where things, who knows, which is the other 16, maybe the 16 connection, which brings us to number 2. The 2nd best draft pick in Vegas Golden Knight history, which I'm going to give to Nick Hague. And Nick Hague, 2nd round draft pick from that 2017 inaugural year, Stanley Cup champion, who might not be a Vegas Golden Knight for much longer, although the Philadelphia Flyers just acquired Trevor Zegras, so him and Drysdale, maybe Hague will bring in, I don't know. Nick Hague, 364 games played, 20 goals, 63 assists, 83 points, but brings a commanding presence. 6'6", lays, hits, takes some dumb penalties, but he's a Stanley Cup champion.
Nick, how you feeling?
No, incredible.
And that alone might be reason enough to put him at 1, because that's what they're all chasing, although this is a very team sport. And I gotta go with the number 1 selection being a player that never played for the Vegas Golden Knights, Nick Suzuki, from that first round in the 2017 draft, 13th overall, captain of the Montreal Canadiens. 455 games played, 138 goals, 237 assists, 375 points, which is almost 4 times more than anyone else on this list. Granted, he has had the most time in the league, dating back to like 2017, and he's been given a chance to blossom on a developing team like Montreal, whereas with Vegas, if you weren't a star, we really kind of dismissed you, except for Nick Hague, honestly. And then Pavel Dorofeev was able to carve out a role because we needed goal-scoring winger. Anyway, the point is Nick Suzuki had, who knows, if we traded Cody Glass instead of Suzuki, who Cody Glass was an untouchable, like maybe they pan out differently their careers because of development trajectories and what they're able to do. We don't know. But Nick Suzuki, clearly the best Vegas Golden Knight draft pick in their history, which is why, even though he hasn't won a cup, he might. Montreal looks good. I hadn't put him at the best draft pick in history. So if you're looking at this list and thinking, this is underwhelming. Yeah. Only 8 years of drafting history, and because Vegas has been a good team and trading away picks and players and prospects, like, it's may be bad for the development of some of the people in their system, but somehow, some way, these guys still found a way to carve out a career in the NHL, which I will never have. So congrats to these guys. And honestly, like, look up to a lot of these kids and following their dreams. Vegas Golden Knights when is the draft? Takes place Friday and Saturday. As of today, right now, the June 23rd, Monday night, the Vegas Golden Knights have 6 draft selections, 58th, 91st, 122nd, 154th, 186th, 187th. So back-to-back picks. That's cool. Who knows if we're gonna use them? In the last 2 drafts, we've only made 4 selections, and we traded for some of the picks last year, so we'll see. Vegas is a wonder ball with box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, especially when it comes to the draft. The thing that helps dynasties to be built, championship teams to last for a while, contending teams, is to be able to draft well and build from within. That's how it's been, finding players on entry-level contracts that are able to perform well. And so if Vegas is able to churn out some really good, solid prospects out of these teams, out of these kids, and move forward with them, they're going to be able to stay contenders despite the fact that our roster looks like it. Not manifesting that. But yeah, how many draft selections do you think Vegas will have on Friday and Saturday? Are you gonna say it stays at 6, it's less than 6, it's more than 6? Who knows? Comment below what you think, and if I screwed up vastly in this list making, but that's gonna be it for today's nightly review. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.